Okay. So, and it begins. Um, so, just a little intro for this channel here. About a few months ago, I don't know, several months ago now, I got Microsoft Flight Simulator with my Xbox Series X, and I will admit my kids don't share the interest that I have in flight simulators, especially when the most fascinating thing I find about them is the realism and the real time and the real weather. In an age of quick in and out games, this is definitely not one. Although you could play like that. Um, so I started flying, learned how to handle a few planes, and then want to do something different rather than just turn on the game and go fly somewhere. I wanted to have a destination, not just a destination, but what am I going to do in this game, right? What's my career in Microsoft Flight Simulator? So I thought I'd mix flight sim with another thing that I love, which is role playing, into into our family adventure. So the idea was to fly around the world, and I got a little bit into this, and I got recommended from a family member, hey, you should put this on YouTube, which, of course, I have no expectations for a following, but I did like the idea of just, having it out there as something fun to look back on, especially with the kids as we all get older. It might be fun. Um, but a little bit how I play, you'll see as I play the game a bit. But either way, so it started here in Michigan, as it's near where I live in Southeast Michigan, and I just started to fly up a couple short flights, northern Michigan, where we vacation a little bit, even in Mackinac Island, beautiful area up there, and what I would do is I would role play, of course, is I would share these pictures along the way, right? So I would land somewhere. But also, kind of highlight some points that maybe we actually saw, right? Hey, we went and saw Arch Rock when we were over there. We went to the equestrian center. My youngest she rides, so that would be really cool for her. We went to Cave in the Woods. So the idea was to, go to these, places and, explore a little bit. That's the role playing side of it. So every destination, I would try to pick some things to do. Um, and it continued. And if I zoom out here, I started a Google Earth project that took us over into Canada. Um, then I started, being pretty daring and taking some long flights. We landed up in Goose Bay, and yes, then I jumped the Labrador Sea. Went around to Greenland. I really want to visit Greenland one day in real life. That would be fascinating to me. And then just took things along the way. Stopped at the hot springs. Yes, there's hot springs in Greenland. And flew over to Iceland. Hit some of the smaller islands here, the Faroe Islands, as kind of a stopping point between Iceland and the main coast of Europe here in Norway. And then flew over to Oslo. You see Legoland on here. Visited Legoland on the way. Again, this was just kind of this real-time, role-playing adventure as we go across the world. And then we hit over into Africa and hitting down, of course, over into Cairo to see the pyramids, over to the Sinai Peninsula here. As a Christian, I just would love to visit the land over here one day just for the historical aspect of it, and then just head down the Nile a bit, and uh, we made our way down to Lake Victoria. The line didn't continue. I didn't update it all the way yet, but we made it down to Lake Victoria, saw giraffes, some other animals, and now we're making our way. And as the video continues, you'll be with us, my family, on your first flight with us, as we head into Bujumbura. And I'll talk a little bit about this as we go into the video. But yeah, it's really fun, and even though I started it here, there's a long way to go. All subject to change, but generally speaking, I want to continue down south through Africa. I want to hit Victoria Falls. I would love to see Victoria Falls. I'd love to see all these places in real life, but that's not going to happen. Get down over to Cape Town. Um, my youngest daughter is really excited about hitting Madagascar. Um, and go up through Madagascar, see some things there too, and and somehow, and there's some islands that I can hop along the way. There's some long ones, but um, you'll see the plane as we continue flying. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the videos, but might hit the eastern coast back up again, but I don't think so. I think I can island hop and get over to India, um, and then around this southern Asia, through Singapore, maybe around Australia, maybe hit some coastal cities as I loop all the way around. Um, as we as we come up the eastern coast of Asia, into Russia, and then back into the U.S. But I'm not coming home yet. Um, maybe take this western-ish side of the states down, probably hit Baja California, into Mexico, Central America, down through South America, um, all the way down, and yes, gotta hit Antarctica. Some of these, um, you know, science spaces that are out there to land. There's airstrips out there. Okay, we'll figure it out. Um, and then up the eastern seaboard of South America, and kind of hug east as we go back in through some of the islands here in the Caribbean, and then back into the States, and then back home. And then we'll do something else, but that might be a while away, as you can imagine. So um, I don't know, maybe 10%, 20% of the way done. So we still got a long way to go here. And I've been logging this in a flight plan database, which is really neat too. So we're approaching, this includes the leg. I planned the leg for Bujumbura. So this includes that, but we're at about 9,500 nautical miles, approaching 20,000 kilometers. So we're getting some mileage. Um, thank goodness I have a never-ending bank account when it comes to fuel, because that would be real expensive right now. But yeah, that's the plan. And if you want to follow along, come with us. It'll be fun, and we'll um, use our imagination and hit some sights along the way too. So, looking forward to it, and we'll talk soon. Okay, so now that you know a little bit of what we're doing, future flights will have you from the beginning, but just to speed up at least this first little video, just so you can experience how I fly here. So we're right now approaching Bujumbura Airport. The approach pattern is a circle, as you're going to see. I can even just tweak this so you can see. Right, so we're coming in counterclockwise, and yeah, and then we're going to go around all the way, and then swing down south and land at Bujumbura Airport here. However, while we're in autopilot here for a moment, take a look at this. So this is what we do, right? So as you know, we try to look for cool things to see, cool things to visit, and so we just left the south end of Lake Victoria, and we're heading to Bujumbura. Let me turn on satellite view here. And, just a little lake here, right? Well, let me zoom out for you. And check this out, first of all. Let me put a point here and a point down here. We're at nearly 400 miles. We're 400 miles as the crow flies from the north to south end of this lake. This is a massive lake. Just fascinating. And I'm not going to pronounce it right. I keep on trying to. But let's see Google load up here for us. Oh, there it is. Lake Tanganyika. Tanganyika. I'm sure it's some famous lake that I am horribly pronouncing, but either way, we're going to explore. But what's really cool is once we get to the airport, let me just kick over here for a second. I'm just making sure my airspeed. ATC has us still at 11,000 feet. I'm thinking we're going to be in that pattern for a little while here still. So barometer at 307. We're good. Okay, so let's jump back over here. So we're going to land at the airport here. Sorry to move around so quickly. Bujumbura is here, and not far. I mean, only a few miles, a little over 3 miles. We have this Delta Nature Reserve. This is where I want to visit. Check this out, right? I mean, come on, who doesn't want to see hippopotamuses? So we got some hippos we can see from a distance. They are not docile creatures, as you probably know. Just some beautiful views. It's like there's opportunities to drive around in a Jeep and do some Jeep tours. Of course, I see pictures like this, and immediately I'm like, as a birder, I want to log some cool birds here. As you just saw, it's a huge lake, so a lot of opportunity there. Hey, maybe we'll see some smiling kids to brighten up our day. More hippos. Looks like some beautiful beaches. Look at these views. So, yeah, I think we're going to spend some time when we land at the Delta Reserve and maybe this little fishing village. And right by the airport, Hotel Club du Lac. And I'm not going to probably even say that well, so I will not even try. However, check this out. Outdoor pool as well. Very high-end resort-ish, I might say. Look at this food. Oh my goodness. I want to eat some local food. I see bacon. And yes, I see broccoli, but I love broccoli too, so it's all good. So yeah, that's where we're headed when we come in, and we can explore, and then I don't know, I'll talk to the family and we'll make a plan on what we want to visit from there. But yeah, as we come in here, it's going to be a little while, right? I'm about 2/3 across on this circle entry pattern here, and we'll keep going. I guess just for your awareness, you know, as far as my assistance options that I use, I'm a bit mixed. I try to make them fairly engaging to me. I don't have fuel mixture on auto. Don't have unlimited fuel. Um, for some reason, I don't know. I could turn that off, but I just have the lights. I have the co-pilot handle that for me. But I do have all failure and damage. I don't know why it says custom, but all failure and damage enabled, right? Crash, stress damage, engine stress, and even icing effects too. So I leave all that on. When it comes to navigation aids, I don't have my route and waypoints on. I want to get used to using the Garmin and the GPS. This is one thing I do leave on. You'll see when I land and take off. I, I maybe eventually I'll get my lay of the land on where to properly taxi, but I find it helps me with some guidance. It get on taxiing, so I'll leave that on. No landing path. I don't use many of the smart cams right now, anyways. No notifications. I don't want in-game notifications yakking away at me. I don't have pilot. I don't have auto rudder, auto assist. I do have the assisted checklist. That it just gives me an option, right? So in case I want to, it's there. If I don't, I don't. No assists on landing or takeoff. I do have my co-pilot manage the ATC. I Yeah, I definitely have that for sure, and rely on my co-pilot for that. And then I just adjusted some sensitivity for the Xbox, the controller, because a thumbstick is not exactly a rudder. And I do have some points of interest on as well too. Although, of course, if you play the game, they don't always appear unless you're close. But some landmarks or cities or airports or fauna. Um, and I turned off this because I don't want that bead constantly in the center of my vision for directions to our current POI, or of course where we're headed right now, landing in Bujumbura. And then user experience stuff. I I open up ATC as I start. Anyways, this is not really important, but either way, that's kind of how I fly. So I'd say mostly, um, you know, real, kind of, sort of. I do use IFR a lot if I can, and navigation. Even most pilots do nowadays, anyways. Of course, on shorter legs, I'll definitely fly manual and VFR. Well, VFR if I can't fly IFR, anyways, right? So, but that's generally how I fly. I will let the autopilot take it on assisted landing until I get close. But yeah, that's how I roll. So as we keep on rolling counterclockwise, we'll tune back in when we're nearing final. All right, so there we are. So one more thing I didn't mention about my flying is I'm pretty lenient on real-time clocks, but I always use real-time weather. I guess my point is that if I were to always fly real-time time and weather, now that I'm on the other side of the planet, or at least getting there, I'd always be flying, in the middle of the night, because after work or whatever, unless I wake up, super early on the weekend, or I'm, playing really late at night, I'd never fly at daylight. So I usually try to simulate my clock with when I take off, right, when I begin. So if it's 5 p.m. local time here, I'll set it to 5 p.m. there, but I always use real-time weather. So it's pretty nice flying conditions for sure today. As you can see, I'm at 6 outside air temperature, lower left of the Garmin there, you'll see that 6 degrees Celsius right now. So even at 10,000, 11,000 feet, it's pretty warm out there. Pretty warm out there. So yeah, I'll take you, hold on, I'll fall off the plane, I'll take you outside for a little bit. There's the lake. Sorry if that made you a little dizzy. Oh, and I guess one more thing before we make our first approach together is I fly a Cessna Grand Caravan. I affectionately call it the homeschooling plane because it fits nice large families and lots of luggage. And it's got a nice heavy-duty landing gear because I do make some bush landings sometimes. So while I could fly a jet, again, the realism factor, while I couldn't even afford this plane, I guess if I were really going to do it, the likelihood that I would have a plane like this versus a private jet would be much more likely. And I don't know, there's just something about flying these turboprops that's it's pretty fun. So yeah, that's where we're at. Still making our final approach, or making our approach, and we'll tune in a little bit. All right, welcome back. We are on our final approach here. Actually, I'm not a pilot. I'm learning as I go here, so I don't know if this is still called approach. I don't know when the final actually is. I think that final is when I'm at that last vector here, right before I get to the runway. But either way, you might immediately notice that my approach pattern is much different than when we last chatted. Well, I don't know what happened with my my autopilot. I must have bumped something, but it got me off course and near landing, and we had to adjust. So we're taking this again. Great views. Look at this. I love the mapping system on Flight Simulator. Just beautiful. I mean, not perfect, but really, really nice. Of course, down over there is that National Preserve that we wanted to go see. That Delta Preserve or something. It's not far from the airport, so yeah, pretty exciting stuff. ATC has me at 5,900 feet, which is again close, but hey, they know more than I do, right? So I will follow their directions and try to take her in. So I guess let me give you an outside view while we start to turn around. Really cool. Sorry for any lag here. I'm casting it to one of my PCs and not ideal. I'm sure as I go on, I'll probably get better with editing these things. Focusing on some really interesting details and less technical issues. But hey, you know what? It's my first video, so I don't want to get too caught up in having to have the perfect first video. So I'm just going to throw this out there and see how it goes. So should be making my turn here soon. And as soon as we start to come out of that, I'll drop my speed and my flaps. We got another town here coming up. I leave the city markers and all that on too, because they're fun to look up sometimes. Sometimes if I'm actually not preparing to land, I will flip back between Google and learn a little bit about these towns. It's always fascinating to learn as we go, even through a video game. You can always learn. I'm a little concerned about this approach, y'all. ATC is telling me I'm good. I'm going to let it go. Let's see what happens, folks. I I could have pulled up, of course. I just I wanted to see how close that was going to take me. I think when I land, I'm going to chat with the tower on their altitude suggestions for this approach. I don't think that was as intended, but that was that was close. All right, so yeah, making this turn. Yep. I just want to have this up while I go, since. And by the way, look up here. Yeah, 5,900 feet. Okay. Not so sure. And ATC has been pretty quiet, huh? Well, let's go ahead and back down here. Would have expected some altitude change requests. That's I am high. I was not paying attention to that. Yeah, I am busy looking at scenery here. My speed, I got flaps fully extended. That's good. Just doing that so it'll do most of it so we can take over. Still looking. I'm still letting nav take me in here. Fuses to my visual on. Isn't that it right there? Aren't we a bit? Flaps a little. Yeah. Hey, ATC, stop talking to me? I guess I'll stop talking to you too then. All right, folks. Well, this is going to be a little bit more of an exciting landing than I had intended. Okay, so first flight. All right, I'm taking this off. Wait, I don't know what this autopilot's doing. All right. I'm sure this landing approach is not exactly recommended.
500.
Sorry, I did not intend to come in quite like this. But we got plenty of runway. everybody needs a vacation. I guess ATC just wanted to have some time off. Sorry, passengers. Hopefully this is all right.
Cessna 316, you are not cleared to land. Clear the runway.
What? All right, well, so my first video had autopilot.
Cessna 316, you are not cleared to land. Clear the runway.
I'm very sorry. I say sorry, but almost crashed me into a mountain. I think that's very unfair, personally.
Cessna 316, you are not cleared to land.
I know.
Clear the runway.
I got this. So
Cessna 316 IFR flight plan is canceled. Radar service terminated. Squawk 7000. Maintain VFR. Frequency change approved. Good day.
So don't know exactly what happened. Oops, sorry, let's go this way. Apologies. There's a spot over there. So let's turn this off and talk for a second. First of all, okay. That was not planned. So, as I said, first flight landing would have jumped you in earlier, but we had some crazy autopilot issues. That was probably my issue. On the next approach, they almost guided me into a mountain. For fun, I decided to hold altitude because it looked like I was going to clear, and I thought it might be kind of fun. Although the kids will not approve of that because the rule is if I crash, we crash. So that would have been bad. And then the silence from ATC, following my flight plan and landed, and apparently I wasn't approved. So maybe I'll blame that on my co-pilot who didn't call that in. And then getting yelled at multiple times on the runway. That was exciting. But we're here, and there's hippos and birds and lots of cool stuff to see. So I'm going to check into the hotel, have some of that awesome food that you saw, and see where it takes us. So, and then we'll chat with the family. My wife and the kids and I will decide where we're going to head next. Probably somewhere down that 400-mile lake, and go from there. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you find this even remotely interesting, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any more near-death experiences and me getting yelled at ATC and watching a guy who knows a little bit about Flight Simulator, enough to fly at least for the most part, kind of. So I'll get better, right? I mean, at the end of this, I'm going to be a pro. Might as well buy my own Cessna at the end. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and maybe we'll talk soon. Peace. God bless.